This is episode 46. I am so happy that you're here and thank you for joining my show, your coach, Helen Yuskovic. I am on a worldwide mission to help people get confident in putting themselves first because I used to put myself second my whole life. And because of that, I experienced every unhealthy relationship possible. An unhealthy relationship with myself, my health, my wealth, my intimate relationships, my family, my friends, and my career. I'm now living in an abundance that I used to just dream about. So I want to pave the way for you too. It's time, guys. It's time that you live in the life of your dreams as well. So let's take a step towards that right now. P.S. Subscribe to my podcast on your app now so that you always tune in to my new episodes. All right, welcome to our next episode with the beautiful Jelena and her other half, Lan. And these two are amazing. They are the co-founders of, well, they'll tell you the history actually, of Power Meals. And Power Meals is one company that I have been using as well as my clients lately. And this company, I will actually just throw it right over to you so that you guys can give us a little bit of a brief history about you two first when it comes to your life and your career, because my listeners, some are entrepreneurs, some have a side hustle, some people aren't living their purpose yet because of whatever reason and just living in their 9-to-5 job may be a little bit unfulfilled. So I just want you guys to give us a brief history of your career journey so far. Where did you start? How did you end up here? What's happened?
So I guess for me, very typical sort of, I finished high school, went straight into uni. Very typical kind of thing, started off working at a warehouse and then had some corporate jobs. Very typical that I hated every single one of these. I hated the 9-to-5. I couldn't work at them. And I think for a very long time, I just kind of sat there with, wishing that I could, the grass was always green on the other side and wishing I could do things, but felt being very, very typical scenarios, being very stuck because I felt I needed the money or I needed to be in this position or I needed to wait until I was ready before I moved on. In saying that, though, in all my jobs that I've had, from warehousing to working at grocery stores and in my sales job, they've all kind of helped me, with the startup of this business, which was fantastic.
I always believe that we have our careers as a stepping stone to our next step. I've done a job in car sales before and I don't know how I ended up there, but that job gave me the skills to learn sales to a really, good extent where I use that now in my business. So I love that you said that.
Yeah, even things like unloading a pallet. So we get massive stock now, right? And I never thought that stuff would ever be useful, unloading a truck or a pallet. But now I know how to undo zip ties without a knife or something like that. So little things like that. And I can come to appreciate it now. But I think at that time, I really did just, I hated it. And I say hate, it's a very, very harsh type of word to say. But at that moment, that is how I felt. Coming to realize that, though, to where I am now, and I think my last job in sales, it was probably the biggest learning curve I've ever had. Really pushed my boundaries, my comfortability, and so my previous job was helping other entrepreneurs start up their jobs. So we did things like educations, helping them start up. We will kind of find out what their purpose was, and then showing them how we were able to help, giving them a roadmap, for instance, and then reverse engineering that. And then I kind of sat back and thought, oh, well, I'm sitting there, I'm listening to these people, I'm listening to their problems, and it's very similar to the things that I've experienced, yet I'm not doing any of it. And then so it got to the point where I was on the train and like almost about to break into tears because I didn't want to be at work anymore. But I decided, to go ahead and give it a go. Or I kind of, for me, I just kind of made things not so serious anymore. like maybe giving myself permission to fail. Like, things don't have to work out for you. Just because you try something, it doesn't have to work out. Like, the world doesn't really owe you anything. And I mean that in a very positive sense, is, by not caring so much, by things not having to work out, or not being a perfectionist, it kind of gave me the freedom to kind of give something a go, and it being okay for it to fail, and learning from that. And so driving back one day, I think coming back from the beach, I just spoke about, just quitting my job, and then speaking about what my next move was. And I had a few other jobs lined up, but I spoke to a friend of mine about how doing delivery driving was one of the most freeing times I've ever had. Just being in a car and driving and doing one drop off to the beach or to Botany or whatever it was, and coming back. And then they mentioned that, like, oh, I have, a friend that could have that might have a job for you doing delivery driving. I was like, well, tell me about their business. And then they had a restaurant which they sold food, and then we kind of explored that. And the next day I was like, what do you think about like doing meal preps? And then I think the next day we just started to get things started there. That's it was a pretty crazy journey since then. When we first started, we were working, 4 or 5 days in straight with sleeping in our cars and stuff. But it was definitely well worth it.
That's so good. Michelle Bridges, when she brought out her 12-week program, she wrote it in one night. Wow. And she just stayed up all night and was like, I want to do this. This is going to change the way for fitness. And it did. So it just sounds like what you did. I always say to my clients that life is happening for us and not to us. So when you were mentioning about the failing and giving yourself permission to do that, yes, it's really important to do that, because life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. Before I move on to Jelena, I have a funny story. I used to be a DJ and an MC, and I met Jelena in that era of my life. And I'm pretty sure back then I was doing some modeling and I wanted a stylist, and I came across Jelena, and she has the most wicked fashion sense that you will ever see. And if ever I need a stylist, she's the girl that I'm going to. So, Jelena, can you let us know about your journey?
Yeah, so basically, like a lot like Lan's story, and I feel a lot of people can really resonate with being like stuck in jobs that they feel that they need to stay at for the paycheck, they need the money, or just something to do, or that's what you're supposed to do. With the start of coronavirus, like most people lost their jobs or they weren't able to work, which is a position that I found myself in. I had the opportunity to come on board with Lan, and it was a little bit scary because I'm like, I'm used to working for someone, not having like all the responsibility. And I guess it's a lot less pressure because when it's not yours, you don't care as much. But yeah, so I found myself in an opportunity to be able to step in as a partner with him and help him work in the business and grow the business. And at the same time, I was finishing my communications and media degree. And so I was like, well, it's a productive use of my time. I get to learn business skills, like the operations in how to run, which I have management experience before, but it's very different when it's yours. That's kind of how I came on board the Power Meals team. And we haven't looked back since. So it's been good.
Are you still styling people?
No, I wasn't. I've only ever done a couple jobs. You were probably my first styling gig I ever got was with you. I've only done a couple since then, but I guess it really wasn't ever a job. It was more a hobby or an interest, and it still very much is. But yeah, it's just not what I do.
Start me when we're out and about or picking outfits for each other.
Yeah.
We actually have a dare that we haven't done yet. So the next outing, we're just going to give each other $25 to go to like Kmart or whatever and have an outfit ready for each other for that evening.
I wouldn't go up against her.
He's pretty good. So some of the things he's chosen for me, I'm like, wow, I'm pretty impressed.
That's so funny. Now let's continue on the path of purpose. So living your purpose can be so confusing for people. I have this all the time where people say, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not happy with what I'm doing. And they don't really know where to start. So can you guys share some insight into how you figured out that Power Meals was your purpose? Like, how did you have the courage to do that?
That's a question I've been dwelling on for like a decade. I think for me is just doing something every day, it doesn't matter. Like the point, like, I think the pressure or that I had on myself was that what happens if I pour all my energy and effort into something and then it doesn't work out, right? Like that one thing. And that's also, and what I've come to realize, it doesn't really matter what you do. If you're unhappy with where you're at, then you do whatever else. You're either going to find out that, very fast that's not going to be the thing for you, which means you're going to be one step closer to knowing what you're actually wanting to do.
What a great point that was.
It is very rare that you're ever going to do something and then come out away with nothing on it. You might not love that thing that you're trying, but you're always going to come out with learning experiences from it. And you know what? Yes, there might be a 1% chance that you come away with nothing, but that's also like saying the first thing you ever try in your life is going to be the only thing, the main purpose for your life. Like, how do you know? Unless it's doing something. So I think that's really important. And maybe you have to get to a point where you're so sick of your life of what you're doing to finally take that jump. Hopefully not for most people, but it's like for me, I think that's important. Just doing something, you're going to get very much closer to that position.
And I think with purpose as well, it's a conversation that him and I have very often, but for him, he wants to retire his parents. And I want to look after my family too. So it's about what can we do to help us get there.
It's definitely, the other thing was, I think I was very selfish younger, always doing something for myself, always doing, like maybe wanting more money or something. But I do feel that you got to find out a bigger purpose than yourself, So for me, it was like, I didn't really start to make some real progression and happiness in my life. Or contentment in my life until, it was something like, I want to do this business to retire my parents. And for Jelena, Sam, she always speaks about how, she would love to buy her mum a house and have her mum just not be stressed about that anymore. So it's, I think doing something, and then also, like she says, it's finding something that's a little bit more than you, than just for you.
Definitely sounds like knowing what your big, huge why is. Why do you want to do this so bad? What is that super objective that you have? And it's great that you guys have both found that big why, because that's the one that keeps you moving forward. If it's a little bit wobbly and it's not very clear, then your direction will be a little bit wobbly and not very clear. So it's really amazing that you guys found that why and you're striving towards it. Jelena, I want to know when you buy your mum a house. It's going to be so exciting. Oh, it's time for your first curveball, guys. Are you ready to play?
Okay.
Sure.
The first curveball is for Jelena. When was the last time you laughed out loud? And why?
To be honest with this one, I feel like it's like every day. But when was the last one? It would have probably been on the way back from the beach the other day. We have this like inside thing where he makes where we make really funny noises and we try to imitate each other. And I was trying to articulate one that my sister used to do when we were young, and it used to make me laugh so much, and now he does it. And I think it's the cutest thing ever because it's a bit nostalgic. It's like from my childhood. So when he does it, I just go into fits laughing.
Lan, make the noise.
Do you want to? No, you know how to do it.
I don't think. Okay. Girly. Like, I don't know. It's just, and when he does it, and my sister, like, she kills it. I can't do it properly. So that's not doing it justice. But when he does it, it's so cute. And I die. Like, it's so funny. And then I'll make like a silly noise back. So yeah, that was probably the last time.
We were walking past this group of little kids, and then I don't know. I hear on the back of like I'm just walking past them, and there's this little girl talking to her dad, and she's just making these baby sounds. And then I was like, "Hey, that's me. That's us."
Yeah,
I'm
that's
walking.
us.
I love that. Relationships should never lose their sense of play. So I love that you guys have that little ritual. Now, continuing on, every time anyone ventures into entrepreneurship, there is a risk involved. I don't care what people say. There is always a risk. And it's this risk that holds people back. It's the fear of taking that risk. Can you talk about how you overcame that fear? And was there ever a time when you did want to throw the towel in? Did you throw the towel in? And how did you overcome that?
I didn't know what my actual fear was. I thought fear was not having enough money, not having a place to live, and all of those kind of things. And when I kind of boiled it down, it was my fear of with these ventures that I've had was kind of disappointing the people that were around me. And I think I've kind of made up rational excuses beforehand. And that was the actual thing of not really knowing what my fear was. I think once you actually look at yourself, or you can look at yourself in the mirror and really identify what those fears are, I think it's much more easily addressable. For example, myself, my fear when I was, starting this business was that what happens if I fail? I'm going to disappoint my mom, my dad, my partner, and all of those people. And then I thought back when I finally realized that, I sat there and I thought about, I was like, would that actually be the truth? Because it's not. If I did fail this business one day, would my mom come out and be, "You're a failure"? No, she wouldn't. None of my friends would either. None of the people close to me would either. They would be so proud of me that I gave it a go. Knowing that allowed me to kind of finding out what my true fear was, and not what the world was telling me or whatever it was, really helped me address that and identify that it wasn't as serious as I was making it out to be in my head. Because I think that's what we do. We fantasize, good and bad, how bad things can actually be when that might not be the reality. But in regards to the second part, did I feel like throwing it in? Yeah, all the time. Like every day, when we come up to, there's a customer complaint, I'm very blessed that we don't have a lot of them. But when there is, and having to deal with that, or there's a big issue, or we're behind in orders or something like that, yeah, I feel like throwing it in every day. But going on for 3 to 4 years now, it's the one thing I do know, and that's been proven, is that one mistake never destroys your business. It's what you do with these mistakes that helps you continue to grow. And I think some of the biggest learning curves is being able to communicate with my partner here, Jelena, and being able to discuss every day. So we live together, we do everything together. So, I can wake up and tell her my thought process, and kind of, and sometimes she helps me get out of my own head in regards to how serious some things are. And I think having a partner or someone in your environment that you can share things with wholeheartedly would really help people with their fears.
Definitely. What about you?
I agree with that, because I think working in a traditional role, you feel like you have the support of like higher management or a superior you can go to. So for me, the biggest support in entrepreneurship has always been a fear of lack of support, or like, what do you do when you have no one to go to and you're like solely responsible? But I've said this to him, and like, when you feel supported, you feel fearless. So I think that's a nice thing to have, like having the right people. I guess it makes you feel like you can do a lot more, having that support.
Sometimes you only just need one believer, and that's all you need in life. And when you mentioned customer complaints, I always find that we need those people, because that's how we can utilize that feedback to make our business better. And sometimes the people that don't mention the things that they're unhappy about, and you keep going without growing or evolving, you're missing something. And whenever I get any sort of feedback as well, I say thank you, all the time, because it really, really does help our business grow. And as you said, Jelena, it is a bit of a lonely road when you don't have support, and just working through your fears. If you do have a business that you want to try, figure out that fear, like Lan said, and just work through it, whether it's a fear of failure. Some people have a fear of success, and just actually pinpointing what it is and just take that step and give yourself the permission to fail. I love that. Is there anything else you want to share?
I think one other thing going through the business is I've thought I shouldn't always try to thrive to just be happy. I think you should experience every emotion, whether that be sadness, anger, or whatever that may be. Experience that kind of gives you perspective on the other side, so you can appreciate things a lot more as well. And a lot of times, if you start, look within, if you find that you are angry and you allow yourself to be angry and you say, you know what, I am just going to be angry, you kind of feel stupid as well, right? You're like, you know what, I'm angry. And then you realize, well, I'm being angry over something stupid. Or you tell yourself, you know what, yeah, you give yourself permission to be angry. Then you sit there and be angry and you're like, yeah, no, I've had enough of this, let's move on. So I think that's always been important as well. So, I'm very blessed to have Jelena in my life, and we have problems all the time. Like, we always talk about things, but I think what's great is that we give each other that space to feel what we need to feel and work through the things instead of avoiding it, or instead of like addressing every small issue, rather than waiting till those big issues come up. And one massive one, and that hurts.
That's right. Instead of pushing things down and then have the eruption like the volcano, just give yourself the permission to have your pity party. I always give my clients a time limit. Give yourself 5 minutes, 2 minutes, have your pity party, be angry, chuck your tantrum, then get over it. It's all good. Yeah. Oh, it's time for your second curveball. Are you ready to play?
Yes.
Sure.
What is your best tip for self-care?
Water. I found out drinking enough water, you're more awake, you're more energized, and I think it's with the chaos of the world and everything going on, there's so much we can't control. You can control this. I think that's, and you'd be surprised at how much that dominoes over. Like, you feel better, then, it dominoes over to the next and the bigger things. It's something so simple. Yeah, I think it helps over something else.
We are a dehydrated species, and people don't take it seriously enough. Our brain in the morning is dehydrated. Our cells in our body need water. Instead of having a raisin-like cell in our body, they have to be plump and juicy, and it's so simple to do that with just drinking water. I love that fact. What about you, Jelena?
Training, I just, for me, there's no better. If I feel good, endorphins wise, and physicality and being fit, I think it's just a byproduct of it. But how I feel and the endorphins that I get from training just makes me feel better for everything. Like, if I'm having a crappy morning, or if I'm in my own head and then I train, I just feel better. And if I feel better, I can accomplish so much more. And I just want to feel better. I don't want to feel crappy or upset.
Definitely. I think for all people that have their own business, exercise is important because it does give you the energy that you need, and it gives you that right mindset that you need to constantly power through, stay connected to your why, and then just be the best boss that you can be. I love those 2 tips. Do either of you have any advice for anyone that's listening for following their dream? Has something helped you with your success? There's definitely going to be people listening here having this one dream that they feel is unachievable.
If you feel your dreams are unachievable, I think that comes back to the fear, whatever your fear is. Honestly, I think the key to any type of success is just trying it. What Lan was saying before, just do it. Just do it so you know if that's what you want to do, if that dream, whatever it is, fulfills you, if you're happy doing it. But I think it's a much better outcome than pondering and wondering. Just being proactive with it, doing what you can to get closer to whatever your goals, whatever your dreams are, just doing something about it.
When I started moving in towards health, I still worked my day job to pay the bills. I was studying and I was working for free as an internship where I actually wanted to work. And so I don't want to dismiss the fact that, yes, it might require some hard times. As they say, take the risk. You know, we understand that you have bills to pay. We all have bills to pay, but you can always find a way to make it work. And to just really enlightening when you lost your job during COVID and you just decided that was the time. I think COVID gave a lot of us perspective.
Yeah.
I live in the western suburbs here in Sydney, and it's a lazy suburb here. But during COVID, I saw so many people out for walks.
Yeah.
And just those simple things. And I saw lots of people going through a lot of different things in their mind space and understanding, hold on, I've taken this for granted. Or I want to change this. I like working from home a little bit more. It's great to be able to connect with people. So I think it's been one of our biggest blessings, this beautiful COVID saga that we had. When was it? Last March? Is that when it started?
Yeah,
last March. It's been just over a year.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Like, looking at, you like the situation has happened. There's nothing we can do about it. And you can decide to look at it in a more of a positive or in a way that's going to work for you. Because start to appreciate these smaller things or look towards, what can you do in this situation? Because you can complain about it as well, but I don't think that does any good for you, at all. You might feel good in the immediate time, but I think long term it doesn't do good for anyone.
Yeah, and I loved connecting with my mother more often during COVID. I was taking her for lots of walks. We were spending time together, made her famous on my Instagram. So yeah, it was such a good time. Oh, it's time for another curveball. Are you ready to play?
Yep.
I love random acts of kindness, and I try to inject some form of random act of kindness into my days, whether it's a small one, whether it's a huge one. So my question to you is, what was your last random act of kindness?
Can I take over this one for Jelena? So she was coming back from the grocery store one day when it was raining one time, and then she told me a story about so she was getting to the car park, loading her groceries in, and then she heard a lady just kind of call out, like rolling a little trolley, like an older lady rolling out a trolley, and then she got out of the car. No one else really stopped. She got out of the car and then helped this lady load her bag of toilet paper into the back of the car and then drove her home. I thought that was such a kind thing to do.
Warm fuzzies, right? And the karma that comes back to you is unbelievable. Beautiful. Jelena, is there anything you want to add?
He's like probably the kindest person I've ever met. And I think every day, and this is something that I've learned from him, is just saying hi to people or just smiling and like acknowledging. And I feel like everyone's so caught up in themselves and their world that you forget those little gestures. But he really is the kindest person I've ever met. And even just that little thing, I'm like, whoa, I don't do that. So now when I'm out, I try to smile more, or I'll say hi and acknowledge, because it is nice. And it's so nice to see. I was like, whoa, people do that? Like,
yeah. Change just starts with you.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Leading the way. Now, before we wrap it up, I just want to ask, what is next for you guys? How is business going? How can people find you? Tell us everything.
Business is going great. Especially, with the COVID and everything, everyone's at home a lot more as well, which has been going well for us. But the big next thing for us is we're doing a whole new redesign of our menu as well. So, we're re-looking at our menu, rebalancing, adding a bunch more popular dishes as well. You can find us on www.pwrmeals.com.
Perfect. I'll definitely put that link in the show notes, guys. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I had the kafta and the couscous today, and it was delicious. And yeah, I'm so excited because I do group training as well. And most of my clients are now ordering the power meals because they don't have time. And the winner of my last challenge, she actually had the pre-prepared meals, which helped her win because she wasn't eating junk. So
Congratulations.
yeah, she lost 7.2 kilograms of fat mass, no muscle mass, just fat mass, and she loved it. And that was only in 6 weeks. So it was so good. Yeah, but these meals that you guys offer are for anybody. Anybody. Don't have to be a fitness junkie. It could be a busy mom or a family. I just sing you guys praises so much because I love the meals. Now, before we go, is there anything that you want to share? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, so to thank all the listeners, we have a special offer for you. If you want to use a discount code Helen Power, so HELEN PWR, you guys can get a nice, lovely discount on your next order.
Yeah, I really want to thank you for having us on as well. You know, I've been hearing such, high praise because of your guys' previous relationship. So glad to finally meet and talk.
We stayed connected via social media. So this is why I love social media, because you can stay connected with people that you've connected with, and you just don't know when your road or your path will meet again.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of social media. So thank you so much for your time today, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Seriously, aren't they the cutest couple? Oh my gosh, when they were talking about their random acts of kindness and how he gave hers and she gave his. I just love their relationship. I hope you loved this episode, guys. I love that they just had this dream and they both took this huge risk and they've created this really successful company, and I just wanted to bring them on here so that I can help inspire you to do the same thing, especially if you've been sitting on something for a long time. So that's about it for today, guys. Until next week. Thank you times infinity for spending time with me. It really means a lot. Putting yourself first will really help escalate your goals, your dreams, and I love being on the journey with you. So make sure you come and tell me on my Instagram at Whole Health, which is HOL_health, and comment below this podcast photo to share your thoughts on my show today. And if you enjoyed it, please leave me a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify so that I can keep bringing amazing value to you. I'm sending you truckloads of love, power, and joy. Bye for now.